when I know the particular situation or condition that how many times I want to repeat this statement again and again. If I want to terminate case, what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the keyword break. So what's the first use here? It is used in the case statement. If I want to jump directly, I'm going to use the statement go to, and I'm going to specify where I need to jump. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on control statement. I'm Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. In my last session of this chapter, I have discussed the following topic. In that, I started with what is switch statement and how to use the switch statement. Along with that, I have discussed iteration statement. So what is iteration statement here? There is nothing but the looping statement. In that, I have discussed what is while statement, how to write the while statement, how to use the while statement in my program. Along with that, I have discussed how to use do while statement along with the syntax, along with example. Along with, I have explained the comparison between while statement as well as do while statement. These are the very important topic in the examination view. So, dear student, you want to concentrate more on while statement as well as do while statement. Along with that, in our today's topic, that is for statement. So dear student, just remember one thing, that I'm going to use while statement as well as do while statement as well as for statement in my program only for the repetition. So what is repetition here? That is nothing but certain time I want to repeat same statement again and again until the given condition is true or satisfied. So here I can able to use while and do while statement. Let me to consider simple example here. First I'll consider while and I'm going to consider do while. See the syntax here. So here while I'm going to have the condition. For example, think that I want to print some natural number. So here what I will do, I'm going to assign I equal to 1, then n equal to 3. So I want to print 1, 2 as well as 3. So what I will do, I'm going to write the condition here. That is I less than n. If this condition is true, what I want to do? I want to print I. Along with that, I want to increment I by 1. Then close. So this type of condition is called pre-testing condition or entry point condition. So at the beginning itself, I'm going to check the condition. If this condition is true, execute this much line. If the condition is false, directly move on to the next statement. And if I consider do while, first I'm going to write the statement, that is I equal to I plus 1. Then I'm going to print I. Then I'm going to write the condition here. So here, see the structure here. At the beginning, I'm going to have the statement. Then at the end, I'm going to check the condition. And if this condition is fail, but still it's going to execute at least one time. Because at the beginning, I'm going to execute, then I'm going to check the condition. So if the condition is false, then also it's going to execute at least one time. So this is the difference between while as well as do while statement. Moving on to the for statement. So what is for loop and why I required for loop? Because we are having do loop, that is do while loop. Along with that we are having while loop. When I'm having both the loop, then what's the need of having for loop? So dear student, just remember one thing, that when I know the exact iteration, in that time I'm going to use for loop. So this structure is the fixed execution structure. So when I know the exact iteration, that time I'm going to use for loop. For example, think that I know I want to execute this line particular 5 times. In that situation, I'm going to use for loop. Along with that, this structure is usually used when we know in advance. Okay, fine. Let me to consider the simple example here. Think that I want to send hi message to 5 members. Okay, I want to send hi message to 5 members. I know what is the message and I want to send how many members. In that situation, I can able to use for loop. So I'm going to write the condition that I want to send this hi message to 5 members. So here 5 members is nothing but the 5 times. So this structure is usually used when we know in advance exactly how many times a set of statement to be repeated. So when I'm going to use for loop, when I know the particular situation or condition that how many times I want to repeat this statement again and again. If I consider this example, how many times I want to send hi 5 times. I know the exact condition here. This structure can be used as increment looping or decrement looping. So based on my condition, I can able to increment or I can able to decrement the looping, and this is the syntax here. So at the beginning, I'm going to use for keyword. Along with that, I'm going to have the initialization. Then I'm going to have the condition. Along with that, I can able to increment or decrement my looping. So inside this, I'm going to have the set of statement. So dear student, I repeat once again here, if I consider while I'm having the condition, then I'm going to have this statement, then I'm going to have the increment or decrement, and at the beginning I'm going to have the initialization. Same thing I'm going to club in for loop. So here at the beginning initialization, then I'm having condition and I'm having increment or decrement statement. But in my for loop, I'm going to combine all these 3 together. So what I'm going to do in my for loop, that is I'm going to combine all these 3 statements. That is nothing but the initialization, then condition, then increment or decrement. Moving further, let me to explain the flowchart of for loop. So at the beginning, I'm going to have for counter and it's going to vary from IV to FV, and I'm going to have this statement and I'm going to have the counter section. So here, see the diagram here. This diagram is completely different from previous diagrams like while or do while loop. So here itself, I'm going to write the complete for loop structure, that is initialization, condition as well as increment or decrement. And how it's going to execute, that is first it's going to check the initialization, then it's going to check the condition. If the condition is true, execute this statement, then I'm going to have the next counter, that is nothing but increment or decrement. After incrementing or decrementing, once again check the condition. If the condition is true, execute set of statements, then once again encounter the next counter. So increment or decrement based on the user logic, then check the condition. If the condition is true, once again statement, then next counter. So it's going to repeat again and again until the given condition is true. When the condition get failed, the control directly transferred to next statement. So here the for loop, the initialization is as an assignment statement. So here initialization is nothing but the having an assignment statement that is used to set the looping control variable. So suppose if I want to set the looping control variable, where I am going to set, that is at the beginning of for loop. There is nothing but the initialization. Let me to take simple example here, that is how to initialize the variables in my for loop. So I am going to start with the keyword for loop int I equal to 0 semicolon I less than n semicolon I plus plus. So dear student, just remember one thing here, that to differentiate initialization, condition as well as increment and decrement, I am going to use semicolon. How to separate increment, that is nothing but the initialization, condition as well as increment and decrement, I am going to use the semicolon. And the initialization is as an assignment statement that is used to set the loop control variable. Now tell me, if I consider this example, which is the loop control variable, that is nothing but the I. So what is the loop control variable here? It is I, and it is going to execute or repeat n number of times. So what's n here? That is depends on the user input. So if the given input is 5, then n value is 5. If it is 10, n value is 10. And the condition is a relational expression. So here I am going to write the expression or condition, that is nothing but the relational expression that determines when the loop exists. So based on this condition, I am going to decide how many times the loop want to execute. Okay, when the condition is failed, then what's going to happen? I want to exit from the loop. The decrement or increment defines how the loop control variable changes. So, which is loop control variable here? That is nothing but the I. So, here I am going to increment. So, what is increment here? That is nothing but the each time I am going to increment I by 1. So, here the I is the loop control variable, and it is going to change each time the loop is repeated. If I repeat n number of times, then n number of times the I value is going to vary. So this is the way the for loop is going to execute. Now the working flow of for loop. At the beginning, I am going to have the initialization. I'll write the for loop for I equal to 0 semicolon I less than n semicolon I plus plus. Okay, so what is my first statement here? That is nothing but the initialization. So here this is the initialization. What I'm going to initialize here? That is I equal to 0. That means I'm going to initialize I equal to 0. After that, what I want to do? I want to check the condition. That is nothing but 0 less than n. For example, say n equal to 5. So here 0 less than 5. If this statement is true, that means if this condition is true, what's going to happen? The control comes into the for loop, execute all the statements which is present in the for loop. After the completion of the execution, once again increment I by 1. So this is the variable used to decide the loop. So which is the variable here? That is nothing but the I. So the I variable is used to declare and identify the looping. That means how many times this for loop is going to execute. Whatever is specified in the increment field is executed and the loop gets back to execute step 2. So increment I by 1. After incrementing what I want to check? Once again I want to check the condition. Okay, if this condition is true, then execute the statement. Once the statement is executed, what I want to do? I want to increment I by 1, check the condition, execute. This is the way the for loop is going to work. Now think that if the condition is failed, for example, now I is 6. 6 less than 5, it is false. So what's going to happen? The control comes out from this for loop. That means it's going to encounter or execute next statement. This is the way the for loop is going to work. Now let me to take a simple program here. So I want to find the factorial of a given number. So what is factorial here? For example, if I write n factorial, then how to find the n factorial here? For example, n is 3. Now I need to find the 3 factorial. That is nothing but 3 into 2 into 1. So what is the answer I need to get? It is 6. So here what I want to do? I want to multiply each time. And how many times I need to multiply here? That is purely depends on the n value. So here it is nothing but the repetition. I know when to start and when to stop. In this situation, I'm going to use for loop. So here this is the main program. And here I'm going to use 3 variables called number, fact and I. Now I want to read or enter the number, and where the entered value is going to store in my number, that is nothing but say 3. And I'm going to assign fact with the value 1. Now I is 1. I less than or equal to number. So what is number here? That is 3. If this condition is true, what I want to do? I want to find the factorial. So what is fact? That is 1. And what is I? It is 1. And it is stored in the factorial 1. Now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 2. Now 2 less than or equal to 3. The condition is true. So what I want to do? That is factorial. What is factorial? Factorial is 1. And what is I? I is 2. 1 into 2, 2. And it is stored in the factorial fact. Now I is incremented by 1. Now I is 3. So 3 less than or equal to 3. See here, it is 3 less than or equal to 3. The condition is true. So what's going to happen? That is fact is 2. 2 into 3. What is the answer? It is 6. Now fact holds the value 6. Now I is incremented by 1. I is 4. 4 less than or equal to 3. The condition is failed. So I'm going to encounter into the next statement. That is, I'm going to print the factorial of a given number. So I'm going to print, that is 6. This is the way I can able to use for loop. So when I'm going to use for loop, when I know the exact iteration as well as the condition, that time I'm going to use for loop. So dear student, just remember one thing, that from the examination point of view, the for loop, while loop, do while loop are very, very important question. Moving further, I'm going to have the jump statement or transfer control loop. That means during the execution of the program, immediately I need to jump or I need to transfer the control. For that reason, we are going to have the jump statement. For example, think that I'm going to execute some statement, and in middle, immediately I need to jump. For that reason, I'm going to use jump statement. So, the transfer of control within looping are used, where I'm going to use my jump statement within the looping statement. That is, I can able to use the jump statements in for loop, while loop as well as do while loop. Okay, then if I use the jump statement, then what's going to happen? One is terminate the execution of the loop. For example, think that you have written n less than or equal to 1000. But when I reaches 10, I need to terminate. I don't want to repeat 1000 times. Instead of that, I want to terminate when I reaches 10. So here, terminate the execution of loop. Then exit. Suppose instead of terminating, if I want to exit when n equal to 10. Another one, halfway through this skip the loop. That means I want to skip certain line. I want to skip certain statement. In that time, I'm going to use jump statement. So, in certain time, I need to skip certain statements. In that time, I'm going to use jump statement. These are the 3 uses of using jump statement. One is terminate the execution. Another one, exiting. Another one, halfway through to skip the loop. Moving further, I'm going to have the break statement. That means in conditional statement, we are having 3 type of statement. That is break statement, exit statement and return statement. So here at the beginning, I'm going to have the break statement. So what is break? That is nothing but the breaking the line or breaking the rules. So the break statement has 2 use. I can able to use break statements in 2 ways. That is, you can use it to terminate a case. Fine. When we encounter this keyword break in my switch statement, okay, if I want to terminate case, what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the keyword break. So what's the first use here? It is used in the case statement, and you can also use it to force immediate termination of loop. So here I can able to use break statements in 2 situations. One is in the case statement, another one inside the loop statement. So if I want to force immediate termination of loop, then I can able to use break statement. So when the break statement is encountered inside a loop, the loop is immediately terminated. I repeat, when the break statement is encountered in the loop, then the loop is terminated immediately. For example, I'll write for some condition, then some statement, and I'll write the break. Okay, when the compiler encounters this break statement, what's going to happen? Immediately it's going to terminate. For that reason, once again, we are going to use break statement in our program. And the syntax here is, I'm going to use the keyword break, and where I'm going to use this keyword in my case statement. Along with that, I can able to use in my looping statements like for, do, as well as while statement. Now, this is the example for break statement. So, working of for loop with break statement. So, think that I want to print n natural numbers. That is nothing but 0 to 100. So, what is the n value here? That is nothing but 0. And when I need to stop, when I reach 100, I want to stop. Then each time I'm going to increment I by 1. Now, see here. How many times I want to repeat this for loop? 100 times. Instead of using this for loop 100 times, if I want to exit when I reach n equal to 10, then I'm going to use the keyword break. I don't want to repeat 100 times, but when I reach 10, that is n equal to 10, then I want to terminate immediately. In that situation, I'm going to use break statement. So, see here, what I will do, first n equal to 0. So, 0 less than 100, it is true. What I'm going to do? I'm going to print n value, that is 0. Now, n equal to 10, condition is false. So, increment n by 1, now 1. 1 less than 100, true, then print 1, check the condition. If it is false, increment n by 1, now n is 2. 2 less than 100, true, print 2, check the condition. Condition is false, increment n by 1, now n is 4. Likewise, it's going to continue. Now think that n is 10. 10 less than 100, it is true. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to print 10. I'm going to print 10. Now, if 10 equal to 10, then condition is true. I want to terminate. Immediately, I need to terminate. So, what I'm going to do here? I'm going to call the break statement. This is the way I can able to use break statements in my for loop. Moving further, I'm going to have another kind of jump statement, that is exit function. So here it is opening and closing parenthesis. This indicates that it is function. This function causes immediate termination of entire program. If I consider break, I'm going to terminate certain blocks. But if I want to terminate entire program, then I'm going to use exit function. See the difference here? Where I'm going to use break statement when I want to terminate certain blocks. In that time, I'm going to use break statement. See here, it is exit function when I want to terminate entire program. That time, I'm going to use exit statement, and it's going to forcing a return to the operating system. It's going to force return to the operating system. Exit function act as if it were breaking out of the entire program. So here exit function act as if it were breaking out of the entire program. So if I want to break entire program, I'm going to use exit function. Then syntax here, I can able to call exit, simply I can able to call exit or void exit and specify the code. That is nothing but 0 or 1. The written code is used by the operating system and may be used by calling program. Okay, so here the written codes are used by the operating system as well as calling program. An exit code of 0 means the program finished normally. That means if the exit code is 0, then that indicates that the programs are completed normally. If I'm getting except 0, then that indicates that some error or unexpected results happened. So 0, normal termination. Other than 0, it is error or unexpected result happened. This is the way I can able to use exit function. See here, this is the simple example. Okay, think that I'm going to have some condition here. That is, I'm having n and I'm having I value. Okay, now n is 10 and I is 2. When I use modulo operation, it is going to return the result reminder. So what is the reminder? I am going to get 0, 0 equal to 0. The condition is true. So what I want to display, the number is not prime number. I want to exit. Okay, so this is the normal termination, because whatever the value I'm going to pass, that is 0. So 0 is nothing but normal termination. This is the way I can able to use exit function in my program. Moving further, I'm going to have the continue statement. So what is continue statement? In my program, certain times I need to skip certain line or certain statement. In that time, I'm going to use continue statement. So the continue statement causes the program to skip the rest of the loop. Certain times I need to skip certain lines or certain looping construct. In that time, I'm going to use loop. That is, I'm going to use control statement in the current iteration, as if end of the statement block has been reached, causing it to jump the statement of the following iteration. That means, think that I'm going to have certain condition. Here once again I'll check the certain condition, and if condition is true, I need to skip that particular iteration or particular statement. In that time, I'm going to use continue statement. The continue statement works somewhat like break statement. So here the continue statement, which is going to work like break statement instead of forcing termination. However, continue force the next iteration. If I use break, then it's going to force the termination. If I use continue, it's going to skip the iteration. See the difference here? If I am going to use continue statement in my program, it's going to skip one iteration. So in that time, I can able to use continue statement. Suppose if I want to skip the next iteration, in that time I'm going to use continue statement, and this is the syntax. Let me to explain the simple example here. Now this is the example I'm going to have. So this is the condition. So here n is 10. Now n less than 0 and n minus minus. Now what is n? N is 10. 10 less than 0, the condition is true. If this condition is true, enters into the for block if n equal to 10. So n is 10 equal to 10. What I want to do? I want to continue. That means I don't want to print this 10. I don't want to print this 10. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to skip the iteration. Now n is decremented by 1. Now n is 9. 9 less than 0, true. So here I'm going to check the condition. The condition is false. So I'm going to print 9. Now n is decremented by 1. Now 8. Now check the condition. 8 less than 0. It is true. So I'm going to print 8 and it's going to vary up to 1. So 0 less than 0, that is when n becomes 0, 0 less than 0, the condition is false. According to this for loop, I can able to print the number 9 to 1. This is the way I can able to use continue in my program. Moving further, I'm going to have go to statement. Okay, here I'm going to specify where I need to jump or where I need to go. So the go to allows to make an absolute jump. If I want to jump directly, I'm going to use the statement go to and I'm going to specify where I need to jump. So it is absolute jump to the another point in the program. Okay, fine. See here, I'm having some program here and I need to jump to the next block. So here I'm going to specify the label where I need to jump, that is lab 1. Here I'm going to specify the label. Okay, so when the compiler encounters this lab 1, okay, this is the jump statement, then directly jump into the lab 1. This statement execution causes an unconditional jump. If I consider exit, continue as well as break, those are the conditional jump. That means when the condition is satisfied or when the condition is met, then jump. Or these are the, that is go to is nothing but the unconditional jump. That means here we are not going to have any condition. Directly I'm going to jump into some specified block or some specified location. This statement execution causes an unconditional jump or transfer of the control from one statement to another statement within a program, ignoring any type of nesting limits. So here we are not going to bother about any condition or any limitation. Directly when I encounter go to statement, when I am going to encounter label in my go to statement, directly I am going to jump. So here I am not going to bother about any limitation or any condition or any criteria. The destination is identified by the label. How I am going to identify the destination? That is with the help of label, which is then used as argument for go to statement. Okay, so which is then used as argument for the go to statement. A label is made of valid identifier followed by colon. First I need to specify the label, then colon. This is the way I can able to use go to statement in my program. Now let me to consider the simple example here. See, I'm having the statement. So this is the syntax. Okay, at the beginning I'm going to have certain statement, then I'm going to have the go, that is go to label name. So here go to is the keyword and I'm going to define the user defined variable that is user defined label, then I'm going to write the colon. So go to user defined label name and colon. Now after that I'm going to have certain statement. Then here once again I'm going to write the user defined label with the colon, and I'm going to have certain set of statement. So during the execution of certain set of statement, when I encounter go to statement, the compiler is going to jump based on the label. That means where I'm going to specify the label name, there the compiler is going to make a jump. That is nothing but the unconditional jump. So here I'm not going to specify any condition. Directly I'm going to jump. This is the example for go to statement. Now let me to take simple example here. So what is n here? N is nothing but 10. Here this is the user defined label. So what is the name here? That is nothing but the loop. Okay. Now I want to print n. After that I want to decrement n by 1. Now here I am going to write the condition. Okay, when n is greater than 0, what I want to do? I want to print n value. So what I will do? I am going to write the go to statement. Go to, and I am going to write the loop. So when this condition is true, this line is going to trigger. When this line is triggered, the control transfer to loop. Okay, now this is the way I can able to use go to statement in my program. So what is the syntax? Here I'm going to have this statement, then I'm going to have the go to keyword. Along with that I'm going to specify user defined variable with colon. Okay, when that condition is true, when that situation is true, directly I need to jump. Where I need to jump? Where I'm going to place the label. In that place I need to jump. This is the way I can able to use go to statement in my program. Thank you.